Operation Fortitude. During the final phase of World War II, the Allies needed Nazi Germany to believe the invasion of Europe would happen somewhere other than Normandy. So they created an entire fake army. Inflatable tanks were placed in open fields, wooden aircraft sat on airstrips, and false radio transmissions mimicked real military chatter. Even more convincing, they placed the fictitious force under the command of General George Patton, a leader the Germans respected and feared. German intelligence watched, listened, and believed. When the real invasion came on D-Day, many German divisions stayed in the wrong place, waiting for an attack that never arrived. That delay helped the Allies establish a foothold in France, shifting the momentum of the war. The Trojan Horse. In ancient Greek legend, the city of Troy had resisted siege for years. The Greeks appeared to retreat, leaving behind a massive wooden horse as a supposed offering. The Trojans, seeing the abandoned battlefield, brought the horse inside their walls. What they didn't know was that Greek soldiers were hidden inside. Under the cover of night, they emerged, opened the gates, and allowed the returning army to enter. Whether fully historical or not, the story reflects a simple but powerful idea. Deception can bypass defenses that brute force cannot. The tactic became a symbol of infiltration and strategic patience. Operation Mincemeat. In 1943, the Allies needed to mislead Germany about their next move in the Mediterranean. They used a dead body dressed as a British officer and planted fake documents suggesting an invasion of Greece instead of Sicily. The body was released into the sea off Spain, where it was found by local authorities and quietly passed to German intelligence. The documents were convincing enough that German forces shifted their defenses. When the Allies invaded Sicily, resistance was weaker than expected. It was a strange and unsettling tactic, but it worked because it played directly into the enemy's expectations. The Phantom Army. Toward the end of World War II, a small unit of American soldiers specialized in deception rather than combat. They used inflatable tanks, sound recordings of troop movements, and fake radio traffic to create the illusion of large forces where none existed. At times, just a few hundred men managed to convince the enemy they were facing entire divisions. They moved constantly, setting up illusions and then disappearing before being discovered. Their work reduced the need for direct confrontation and saved lives by redirecting enemy attention. The success of the unit remained classified for decades. Hannibal's burning oxen. During the Second Punic War, the Carthaginian general Hannibal found himself trapped by Roman forces in a narrow valley. To escape, he ordered torches to be tied to the horns of hundreds of oxen. At night, the animals were driven up the hills. From a distance, it looked like an entire army was moving across the mountains. The Romans, confused and alarmed, shifted their positions to intercept what they thought was a massive force. Meanwhile, Hannibal quietly moved his real army through a different route and escaped. The tactic relied on darkness, distance, and the human tendency to assume the worst. Operation Bodyguard. This was not a single deception, but a coordinated set of lies designed to protect the Normandy invasion. It involved fake diplomatic signals, controlled leaks, and misleading troop movements across Europe. Double agents fed directly into German intelligence channels. At the same time, visible preparations in other regions suggested multiple possible invasion sites. The goal was to overwhelm the enemy with believable alternatives. By the time the real attack began, German command was uncertain and slow to react. The confusion gave the Allies a critical advantage during the most fragile stage of the operation. The empty fort strategy. In ancient China, a general named Zhuge Liang faced an advancing enemy force with almost no troops to defend his city. Instead of preparing for battle, he ordered the gates to be opened and sat calmly on the walls playing a musical instrument. The approaching army, seeing the open gates and unusual calm, suspected an ambush. Convinced it was a trap, they withdrew without attacking. The tactic worked not because of strength, but because of psychological pressure. It exploited the enemy's caution and turned it against them. Operation Bertram. Before the Second Battle of El Alamein in North Africa, the Allies needed to hide their true attack plans. They disguised tanks as trucks and built fake supply depots in the desert. At the same time, they constructed dummy pipelines and equipment to suggest the attack would happen later than planned. German forces watched the buildup and misjudged both the timing and direction of the offensive. When the real attack came, it caught them unprepared. The success of the operation showed how visual deception, even in open terrain, could shape the outcome of a battle. The Ghost Army of Inflatable Warfare. During several operations in World War II, entire battlefields were staged using lightweight inflatable equipment. From a distance, reconnaissance aircraft and scouts saw what looked like a fully equipped force. The materials were simple, but the effect was convincing enough to alter enemy decisions. These ghost armies could be deployed quickly and moved just as fast. They blurred the line between presence and illusion, forcing the enemy to react to threats that did not exist. The feigned retreat. Used across different cultures and eras, this tactic involved pretending to flee in order to lure the enemy into a vulnerable position. Mongol armies were especially known for mastering this tactic. They would stage a retreat, drawing their opponents into pursuit. Once the enemy formation broke and stretched out, the retreating force would turn and attack with precision. What looked like weakness was carefully controlled movement. The success of the tactic depended on discipline and timing, and when done well, it turned the enemy's aggression into a disadvantage.